Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Tuesday night as we get ourselves prepared to see some familiar names under a new banner as the drivers tonight for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. We collect and join us here on our Freaky Fast broadcast throughout the week as this series is we were able to make a partnership and join up with one another here tonight, as well as we're planning on continuing forward throughout the rest of their season. But tonight's race, it's race number 12 for season 1, the race at the Rock 175, the penultimate race of the regular season to see who can make the playoffs. Next week we'll figure out who officially is in or out, but tonight still very crucial points can be grabbed at the Rock, a 1-mile course. But man, what a fun racetrack these drivers are ready for in the North Carolina area. We're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me kind of on a one-off up in the booth, as we will usually have Trevor Earhart in the booth with me. But for tonight, we have Zach Hall with us. Zach, thanks for stepping in the booth for tonight's race. But man, we get to see some drivers trying to tackle the Rock.
Yeah, Sam, excited to fill in here tonight, man. Like you said, to tackle the Rock here for these drivers. And I'm excited because not too many times have I seen where the next-gen cars have tackled this racetrack, and the few times I have seen it, it's put on some really good racing. So excited to see how it's going to play out, especially now with the new dynamic track situation. How much will they be moving around here trying to find the grip all night? And right now, as everybody's in qualifying mode, trying to get their track position, so to say. But like you said, penultimate race, a lot of things are setting up for that final dash here for these guys soon.
A lot of drivers are trying to set themselves up for a great start here tonight as we head down to trackside and see some of the drivers. Already qualifying laps have been placed as Stephen Borvell going to be the top driver with a 23.618, the top driver to put down a time so far. Talked about familiar names. There's a couple of them and a lot that we've seen before, but it's one of the newer ones that's going to be now on top of the board. It's Dustin Stalling. It's going to be in the 10 machine, taking the pole spot, 0.005 of a second faster than Borvell. But there was a little bit of a disconnect for Gavin Rogers, who's one of the fastest drivers to watch out for in this series for the 77. Disconnected. He's hoping to get reconnected in the session, and Zach, he could be missing qualifying if he doesn't get registered in here quickly.
That he could be, and that would be a huge, setback for that 77 machine. As we've seen in the past, he's not new to Freaky Fast for sure. He is, but a driver that's really had a ton of speed in all the series we've seen him in before. So I expect a lot from him here tonight, but may just have to miss this qualifying here as we're watching the rest of these guys put in their times.
Putting in their times, the Bigs place themselves as high as they can as the field has kind of set up to where they're going to be at. 3 drivers deciding not to qualify. That's going to be David Paul, Gavin Rogers, and Mason Hausman so far have not put in a time as just getting a little bit of extra practice as these drivers finish up qualifying. It's going to be Matthews Erickson, who's going to be currently on track for the 28 machine as well as a few others. Just getting some extra practice time, but Gavin Rogers got disconnected right when qualifying started, was able to get in. And Zach, this is the driver to watch out for. Leader of the points coming into tonight with the most wins of 6, and he's trying to grab number 7 here at the Rock.
Here we go. Let's see how his qualifying lap is as he goes down into turn number 1. And look, up the racetrack, but as he exits, gets closer to that yellow curbing on the bottom of the surfaces as he goes down the Thunder Alley back straightaway to here 3 and 4, very bumpy. And look at this, up the racetrack. This may be setting up the second lap here, I think.
Second lap has been the fastest lap for every driver so far that's qualified. That's our top 12 currently, and Gavin Rogers setting up for this lap time. Going to be 6th fastest after that first lap. But we know he's going to be looking for another top spot here. Gavin Rogers has been so quick throughout this season. He's got 8 poles out of the 10 races he's ran so far. Trying to grab his 9th pole, if possible, off the exit of turn 4. Finding a comfortable position, getting very close to the outside wall, and across the line, it's Gavin Rogers hoping for the pole, and he'll grab the pole by over a 10th over the rest of the field.
That's a sizable margin there, Sam, as it was close. Really from, 7th all the way up to 2nd. It's almost a 10th separating them guys. Gavin Rogers has that clearing the rest of the field.
As the qualifying starts to settle in, Gavin Rogers going to take a couple of more laps just get himself into a better position before this session gets started. Now these drivers will have, after qualifying is officially concluded, a 5-minute warm-up time to kind of get a little bit more practice in. This track very tricky with the next gen. The drivers are excited to see how the wear and tear is going to tackle on the tire wear, as well as what is the slipping and sliding aspect going to be like. In other vehicles, the exit of the corner has been the dangerous spot. What will the next gen be here tonight? Again, it is the race at the Rock, 175 here tonight. Going to be 175 laps in total ran, but the BRB Cup Series, so different from other leagues that we cover. One, there's not just one stage break, there's 2 stage breaks. That's a lot of bonus points that can be grabbed. Other bonus points that can be grabbed. Gavin Rogers just grabbed one of them. That's getting the pole. One bonus point for leading a lap, 1 for leading the most laps, and 1 for winning the race. That is a lot of bonus points out there, Zach, that can be grabbed here tonight.
That's definitely a ton of opportunities for these drivers as we go into our 5-minute warm-up session here at the Rock, and these drivers get all settled in after they've made that qualifying run. And man, what a job by Rogers there to put himself a pole by that much. That is a tough job to do, and especially after disconnecting like we've seen, that's tough to come back in the session, have not too much time, and put it on pole position. So shows how clutch it seems to be from that 77 team as other drivers look to maybe find that speed here in the race to match them.
Trying to find a little bit of extra momentum if possible. As to talk about momentum, let's take a look at the point standings heading into tonight's race. Again, already bonus points. Congrats for Gavin Rogers, trying to go for the regular season's championship, but very different from most leagues that we cover. There is no win and you're in system for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. Instead, you have to be consistent all season long and hope that you're inside of the top 10, where we find Patrick Hernandez in that final spot. And Hernandez in a comfortable position, having over a 30-point buffer over Brandon Maddox that's behind him. And then Maddox and Matthew Erickson going to be another 40 points back for that of Erickson. So needing some massive stage bonus points if you want to be closing in on that 10th place spot. But if Patrick Hernandez just has a clean race, he might lock up already that spot for the playoffs going into next week at Homestead.
You're exactly right about that, Sam. He could definitely lock that position up. And then he's got a chance to pass Dustin Stallings. You see, he's only about 5 points back from him. So could even push himself up to that 9th position there. But like you said, need to stay above that 10th place position if you want to be going into that chase, and no winning you're in. So it's all about points.
All about the points here this evening. Also, as we step away from the point standings, the drivers have still about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in this warm-up session. I want to give a huge shout out to the major sponsors that help out the BRB Racing League, that of Butt Kicker being the title sponsor, as well as Sundance Pizza. Go head over to the Wilkinsburg, Arizona area. Go find yourself some Sundance Pizza, the best around, as well as Trevista and Idealist, your major sponsors that have helped out for the BRB Racing League, and as well helping out here for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. As the field's going to have 175 laps, but Zach, the 2 stages, I think that's going to be a big talking point throughout the night. How do we want to race these first 2 stages that are going to be 45 laps each that you're going to be racing in?
It's very tricky for sure because, 45 laps is actually a pretty sizable margin when it comes to the Rockingham Speedway, man. This place can really hurt the tires. That's really what it's known for, is just being the cheese grater of a track to the tires and really making the rubber really kind of fall off. So 45 laps, you feel like at a short track is not the craziest amount, but really this place, it really does start to fall off a lot, and these drivers are going to learn a lot about how their cars are going to change throughout the run in those first 2 stages. And then when we get done with that, they're going to have possibly the longest run of the night.
Yeah, that longest run going to be from lap 90 to 175. Going to be a fun sprint to the end if these drivers have late cautions on how they're going to react between one another. If last week, that was not a broadcasted race anywhere from the previous broadcast for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series or from us. But last week, the drivers got to run at Michigan, had a little bit of a caution-filled event for these drivers, had a total of 7 cautions during that Michigan race. And it was Ronnie Norman who actually found victory lane. Not going to be here tonight for Norman, but still one of those fast drivers. It's been between Norman and Gavin Rogers that have been the top 2 drivers throughout the season. And for race number 12, Gavin Rogers is going to be the heavy favorite, but who could try to steal the victory, or will it come down to strategy to try to get into victory lane? Another course similar to Rockingham due to the tire wear. Dover, driver that won that was Adam Buzzio, actually. And Zach, I think the drivers talked about it throughout the week on their podcast, saying this race in Dover might be the most similar that they've seen all season long.
It really could be. That is definitely, I think, a similarity that they should be comparing. And, you know, Adam Buzzio, from what we remember from our past times with him on our broadcast, very good at the high tire wear tracks, very good on the long run. So not surprised to see that name come up at Dover. I think he could be a player, definitely, when it comes down to the longer runs here tonight.
Ready to see how this race is going to conclude, but it's going to be a long one. 175 laps at this mile course. The Rock, a tough one to be held as we see the drivers starting to grid up. Let's take a look at the starting grid for the field here tonight for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. Stick at the top of the board. No surprises. 9th pole of the season. Gavin Rogers in the 77 starting up front. In second place is the 10 machine of Dustin Stalling, going to be ready for action up front. Stephen Borbell going to be in that 2 machine starting in third. Adam Buzzio, driver that we might have to circle up to watch out for in the 5 machine, starting in fourth. Patrick Hernandez in the 91 starting back in 5th place. Just disconnected, hoping to get reconnected in this session right before we go green. And 5th, 6th is going to be Jared Hughes in the 98. Richard Wolsifer in 7th. 8th, we will find the 33 of Brandon Maddox. Evan Patinko, in the 96, going to be in 9th. And finishing out our top 10, it's going to be Matthew Erickson.
Starting in 11th, it's going to be the 71 of Carl Poehler. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be Jeremy Clapper-Newell. 13th, it's going to be Rusty Sanchez. 14th is going to be Mason Hossman. And rounding out our 15 cars here tonight, it's going to be David Hall. 15
drivers expected to run here tonight, as a few drivers having a little bit of connection issues to start out this race. So everyone's trying to get logged in to where they're going to be, but it looks like we're going to be missing at least 3 drivers for the start of this race. Mason Hausman not going to be missing the start, as well as Adam Buzzio and Jared Hughes, both having issues, but I believe they both were communicating before this race even started that they were going to have weather issues for some of these drivers, and Adam Buzzio and the 98 of Hughes were the main 2 to watch out for here tonight. So if they blink out, we know why. It's weather issues that have hit both of those drivers. But up front, Gavin Rogers, Dustin Stalling, going to be taking us to the green here at the Rock, race number 12 for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. This is just their first season. Gavin Rogers has already settled in that he's the favorite to watch out for the championship. But other drivers know, with the playoffs right around the corner, anyone can steal the show. As the pace car pulls off, they enter the restart zone. We're green for the race at the Rock 175, and already Gavin Rogers is off and rolling.
Great start, like you said, from Gavin Rogers there, but it's going to be that inside row of Stephen Borbell making the pass on Dustin Stallings, as Stallings is sliding back to third now. Patrick Hernandez in the 91 trying to fight for it, as those 2 very close in points coming here tonight. This is a great battle.
You got to get yourself up front and get bonus points at the stage breaks. Only the top 10 drivers get bonus points currently. It's going to be Anna Buzzio, Hughes, Hall, and Rusty Sanchez. They're going to be the 4 drivers that are outside looking in currently. As back on track is Hughes and Buzzio, both still in the lead lap, so they need a quick caution to get back cycled forward with the lead group, as both those drivers qualified inside of the top 10. As seen already searching for speed and grip right now. Zach, that was interesting to see those drivers 3 different lanes already utilized through 3 and 4.
I love to see that, Sam. That's exactly what we want to see happening, is drivers trying to find clean air, and if the grip can be found there, that's going to set up for some great races. Here, look at this big run to the inside of the 91 machine. Here comes Richard Wolsifer trying to make the pass, but almost slides up in to the door of the 91.
Richard Wolsifer has got to win this season. He was on the dirt track earlier, just a few weeks ago, at Eldora. hoping to maybe transfer some of that dirt racing prowess here at the Rock as bouncing, moving, and there's already issues for one driver. That's Adam Buzzio, who's by himself. Heavy damage for the 5 as he had heavy contact, exit out of 2, smashing the inside wall, and I believe the way that that vehicle moves, Zach, it might have been a connection issue or some type of mechanical issue that forced the 5 down into the inside wall.
It was very weird. It was like he lost all control of the car and it just went shot left. It wasn't like he really got loose. You can see there, it's kind of like he lifted off the gas and the car just broke left. And hopefully nothing too major there for him, but not the front end clearly knocked off, and that's going to be huge damage that he's having to bring back to pit road and already being set back by being disconnected. This is just tough to see for Adam.
It is a very tough start to tonight's race. Again, if Adam is the only one to go a lap down and we have our 2-stage yellows, the 5 machine should at least get 2 laps back, but that's asking a lot and hoping that other drivers don't go a lap down. As the field here tonight, again, 175 laps. We will have a stage break at the end of lap 45 and at the end of lap 90. These drivers will have 1 fast repair to work with, so Adam Buzzio is not completely out of this race, and they'll have 5 sets of tires in pit road to work with as we're riding on board with the 2 Stephen Borbell, trying to find a way to catch up to Gavin Rogers, who's just is slowly but surely pulling away.
Rogers definitely looking already in a strong commanding position, but you know, you can never say too much about this racetrack. This racetrack can look like everything's all fine and dandy, then 20 laps later that same person's struggling. So let's see if Rogers has figured it out here at Rockingham, or will his tires start to struggle with the gap that he's formed already as Borbell kind of getting a little bit of pressure here from behind from the Tim machine is stalling. So he's got to watch out behind him, as now looks like Buzzio back out on track here, Sam, and using that fast repair move.
Using up that fast repair, and is going to be the only driver to use fast repair so far. Not happy over the radio on the fact that he got into the session late and then also caught up in that mess. Frustration is mounting for the 5 machine. As take a look at what the weather conditions are for tonight's race. It's going to be a nice day of 67 degrees Fahrenheit for the ambient temperature, the air temp the drivers are dealing with, but on track, 89 degrees is the Fahrenheit for these drivers here tonight. Wind's not too bad, staying at a stable 2 miles per hour heading north, so wind shouldn't be a big factor. But that track temp, it's in that awkward stage, I'll say, Zach, of being cool, but there's slight heat still to work with.
You're exactly right. It's kind of like in that that no man's land, right in the middle, as you would say. So it's kind of hot, but it's not the hottest of track. So it makes it where the balance can be a little bit interesting to find, because sometimes those farther ends of the side can make the balance more defined, where here maybe it's a little bit, it's going to catch you off guard. It's going to be a little bit understeery in some parts of the track, maybe a little oversteery on the other parts, as I believe those exits are definitely going to get a little bit slippery.
Starting to get slippery for themselves. As take a look at some of the drivers we're going to be seeing here on a weekly basis. Again, we're so happy to be partnering up with the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. This is race number 12. We've signed on for the last half of this season. Excuse me, struggling there. But this group of drivers, all, like we said, some we've seen before in other leagues that we've covered in the past. Some are brand new faces for us, and to see new drivers out there on course, always a curious spot of seeing drivers with growth, who's willing to stay out on track even when they're struggling, and also seeing who are the newcomers that are going to be pouncing and trying to challenge the likes of Gavin Rogers.
It is always interesting to watch that here as we're watching Matthew Erickson. He's got Rusty Sanchez right behind him, as those two have stayed pretty close together. They're about 2 seconds back from Jeremy Clapper Newell. But these two, as you can even see, Sanchez there into the wall a little bit of contact. But again, these next-gen cars, we'll learn that throughout the time here with these guys on Tuesday nights. And we've also learned it on Thursday nights at Doghouse that these next-gen cars are tough, man. They can really take a big hit and still be pretty resilient.
That they certainly can. Talk about Richard Wolsifer getting that win just a few weeks ago. This season's actually been pretty well for the 56 machine. Comes into tonight's race with 7 top 10s, 2 top 5s, that 1 win at Eldora. But it's been the consistency of at least competing up front. Only 3 races this season has been Richard Wolsifer outside of the top 10. Those 3 races being at Nashville Super Speedway, Michigan, and the start of the season at Daytona. I would say those 3 racetracks pretty tough to find luck for Michigan and Daytona, and Nashville Super Speedway is just a tough track in general if you just can't get a grasp on that track.
It really can be. That place can be such a terror for a lot of people. And along with that track, this is kind of up there in those books too. So Richard really having an excellent run so far and keeping the pressure on Patrick here. He's been kind of, he had a few looks to the inside on him earlier. But right here now, just keeping the pressure there. And I think it's interesting is just running that high line, not even really bothered with the bottom. He's kind of running really the third line. Here's a little check back on his teammate, Carl Pooler, back here in seventh. He looks to be running a little bit lower on the track.
And Carl Pooler, we talk about Richard Wilson having consistency. Well, a lot better consistency from Carl Pooler, who's been a top 5 machine, has 4 top 5s this season, 8 top 10s, and has had a lot of 4th place finishes, a total of 3 4th place finishes. That's been his best finish so far this season. Those 4th place finishes were at the Charlotte Oval, Bristol, and Nashville Super Speedway. And then his next best finish was at Dover. So good at the tracks where he's finding a lot of wear and tear, and 71's hoping for some of that good luck and maybe great positioning, place himself in a position to get inside of our top 5 or run where he's at right now.
Having an excellent run so far, he definitely is, but we check back here to that 33 of Brendan Maddox, who's directly ahead of Carl Pooler. He's not too far off of Richard and Patrick up here, and he's running just about similar times to him. So we'll see if Brendan can kind of close this gap. There's some smoke coming off of 4 there. I think that might have been from Patrick Hernandez in that 91 machine sideways off of 4.
Off of 4, big slide for the 91. Just center of the corner off and just snapped loose, but able to keep it forward, and now going to be under pressure from Richard Wilsifer trying to take that 4th place position away. As the 56 Hunts and Hounds, where do you place yourself to take this pass? And Hernandez has to be careful on the tires. Zach, we now cover the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series on Thursday nights, and we saw it a lot last week for that series. Tire heat, big factor for Hernandez. He's got to be careful.
You got to be very careful. That tire heat can really escalate very quickly, and it seems like he's kind of gathering it up a little bit, still a little bit sideways. He's flirting with disaster there, but he's done a good job of gathering it up. But we've seen, like you said, once it starts to get a little bit of sliding going on, it just seems like it's hard to get that sliding to stop. So if you're Hernandez here, you got to make sure to manage that very well, because he can quickly be kind of pointing backwards here off the exit one of these corners.
Once again, thank you so much to all those that are joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, your new home for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series here on Tuesday nights. So we've been looking for a Tuesday night series, and luckily we're able to partner up with some old faces that we've worked with before, with Adam Buzzio, Gavin Rogers, and the folks that work now with the BRB group. And here tonight, just like what we've seen in their past leagues that they've ran, there's going to be 3 stages. Stage 1 and Stage 2 are going to be bonus points, so you can grab that 3rd stage as the race to the end. But that Stage 1 will end at the end of lap 45. Stage 2 ends at the end of lap 90. So these drivers, they've got 20 laps to go to figure out who's going to be inside of the top 10. And those top 10 drivers are going to grab some bonus points here before this race is even done.
That they are, Sam. And another interesting thing here to think about is with Rogers still kind of pulling away and building the gap and running the fastest lap times on the racetrack, I'm starting to think to the past of, Freaky Fast Grand Slam, because the man's going to, have the pole position. If he can win both those stages and win the race, he can be in position to pull that off. That's something somebody's not done in a really long time. So it's quite a feat of domination. And so far, with the lap times I've been watching, he's looking very strong. Unless this track changes or something falls away from him, he's going to be a tough one to beat.
It certainly is going to be a tough one to beat here tonight, as Dustin Stalling, one of those newer faces we haven't really seen here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, the 10, trying his best to close in on the gap of Stephen Borbell for 2nd place. Stalling comes into the night 9th in points, just 5 points ahead of Patrick Hernandez. And this season, 10 within the top 10s, has 5 of those and 2 top 5s so far this season. Those 2 top 5s were 5th place at Atlanta Oval in Michigan. Hasn't had the best finishes when it comes to a lot of tire wear courses that are known for really ripping up the tires. See if tonight maybe can be a change as early going in these first 30 laps. It's been a great running for this 10 machine.
It really has been excellent so far. He's kept pace with Borbell and, built the gap to Hernandez. So done everything he's wanted so far and has been on position to be in a podium spot here by the end of this thing. But again, it's still just the first stage. This track can go through a lot of changes and still plenty of time just for a little slip up. So got to stay with it if you're stalling here as we drop back to the 96 of Evan Pinoco. Is he's back in the 7th position. He looks like he's gotten past Carl Pooler. So on forward here in this 96.
Tinko going to be trying his best to close in on Maddox and pull away from Carl Pooler as the 96 right now. A driver that's just trying to settle in, find their own pace as the field continues to stay green. As Evan of Tinko is 6th in points, has 9 top 10s, and oh no, trouble on the back stretch. It's Richard Wolsifer and Patrick Hernandez off the exit of turn 2. And Wolsifer gets the horse in it for the 56.
Oh man, these two were so close to each other for the whole run, and a simple mistake from one of them ends up in the other one collecting them. And man, tough break there for Richard, because look at how much damage was on that car. Now we'll go back, see how this all played out as they're racing down the front straightaway here. You see the 56 is somewhat close, but the 91 going to go in here, actually kind of kissed the wall there in the middle. Then I think a little bit of a loose condition here late off the exit, and then going back into the wall. Richard cannot miss him, and he slams into the inside wall, knocking off that front clip.
See the front clip sliding over the original pit wall here at Rockingham. They got moved to the front stretch and able to take off and moving, and that will bring out our first yellow flag at a very awkward spot where a lot of drivers you'd think pit road makes sense. You got 5 sets of tires in pit road. This is right before the first stage is done. And some drivers staying out. Dustin Stalling going to be one of the drivers deciding to stay out with Carl Pooler, as well as the 13 of Jeremy Clapper Newell going to be out there on track. Decision time, and Gavin Rogers now going to be in a spot where he's deep in the field compared to where he was before.
That he is. This is going to be fun to watch now with how these guys staying out here. So electing to save some tires are a few, and it could come back around to be helpful for them. This is a longer race. If we get a few good cautions here in the mix of this thing, it could help to have that extra set. But like you said, Sam, I feel like it kind of been a no-brainer there. But at the same time, if you're going to take a set with the stage coming up here at 45, saving a set now might not be the worst idea.
Maybe not. If we get a couple of more cautions later on, might help you out. As Richard Wolsifer going to be going into pit road, as again, most likely going to use that one and only fast repair for the 56. We'll see if Patrick Hernandez decides to use fast repair as well. It doesn't look like the 91 is going to be doing so. Instead, our top 5 going to be drivers on old tires. How well can they hold off those that just got 4 tires and fuel? And this is going to be an interesting restart, because a lot of these guys that are up front, besides our front 2, it's going to be the 13, the 98, and the 34 were drivers that were in the back half of the field. Maybe they were saving their stuff for just in case this moment popped around.
They really could be. So saving your equipment can sometimes be that, right call to make sometimes. I mean, with the amount of fall off that we were seeing there, I think it could very well be worth it. If you do have an extra set, we don't have too much field to go through. If you can make that late race decision, and you never know how many cars will be on the lead lap at that point. If you can have an extra set, you can probably make things happen, and that's what someone might need to do if they want to try to get that 77, because again, he's just been so fast. But again, the 2 follows him, but the 10 likes to stay out and has others come with him. So this is going to make a little bit of a wall here for Stallings.
And for Stallings, going to decide to take the outside row for this restart. We also want to be thanking Rev, who's going to be running race control for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. Who's going to be giving out penalties, clarification for the drivers out on track when an incident happens. And also, if there's a driver at fault for a wreck, they will be given an EOL. And Patrick Hernandez was deemed at fault for bringing out that yellow with getting loose. So the 91 will be starting at the end of the line on this restart, as Dustin Stalling, Carl Pooler, as well as Clapper Newell Hughes, and Sanchez. Your top 5 going to be on older tires. It's going to be a 33 lap difference on tire wear. This restart could be a dangerous one if we find any wheel spin for our front runners. Trying to stay together, Gavin Rogers and Stephen Borbell going to be your top 2 on the freshness scale when we see how they tackle moving forward. Pace car into pit road. The race at the Rock 175 is back underway. Our stage yellow going to be later on, but we might have a quick yellow already. Huge slip up for Rusty Sanchez, who throws it into the outside wall, but massive wheel spin. Going to be hurting those 5 drivers that decided not to come into pit road for tires. And here we go, Zach, lap 45, and we might not get to 45 by the way that they are racing right now.
That's very well possible. I have to tell you what, Carl Pooler really spun the tires a ton. That allowed Borbell to get ahead of Rogers here, but they're trying to find their way around. Here comes the 33 of Brendan Maddox. He's going to dive to the inside of the 2 and try to be the first car on new tires.
Trying to be the first car and push forward with this wall from the 98 as well as the 71, just not giving any space for the field to be getting out of this groove, and they're just stuck 2 by 2. Who's going to force it 3 wide? Because that might be the move to move forward for a chance to go after Stalling and Clapper Newell. But at this moment, Carl Pooler, Hughes, they continue to defend for now, but up to that outside wall. Stephen Borbell bouncing off, getting the run in the 2, finally able to get clear.
Wow,
oh, no!
And also 33 wrecking.
Maddox gets spun, spins it around. He's down on the apron. We stay green as there was no oncoming traffic when he was sideways. Somehow we continue to stay green, but the 33 loses all that time and momentum.
Big time and momentum, like you said, lost all the way back here. Now about 10 seconds off the lead, but it's Stephen Borbell going for second right now as we're going to replay of what happened is right here. The 33 goes to the inside coming off of the exit, and he's going to clip that curb. I thought that was the factor, but it seems like he just got loose very late down the straightaway.
Got loose, overcorrected, and going to find himself spinning around. Also slightly contact goes to Matthew Erickson, who's back in 8th place, but up front, it's Borbell, who's about to be setting up a pass to go after our leader, but hold on, wait a second, we got a caution being thrown, and it's Patrick Hernandez caught up in another one.
Hernandez got a little bit loose and up into Carl Pooler, so tough break for Hernandez. It seems like turn 2 once again going to be the spot where he loses the rear end, and seems like once that corner always seems to be the one, man. I'm telling you, just off of turn 2, it always seems to tighten up very late. And when you have a car that looks to be very loose tonight for these guys, it's very tricky not to want to spin out there. As you're going to see, he's coming up on the drivers with those older tires, such as Carl Pooler. He's going to look to the inside area, and maybe that touch to that curb was what upset that car, and he's going to slide up into Pooler, and that's going to spin him around on the backstretch.
Spins him around, able to stay down low. That will bring out our second caution, and over the radio, drivers have just been informed that is the stage. So drivers going to be getting up front. Stallings going to get those maximum bonus points of 10. Borbell, Rogers, as well as plenty of others going to be getting some massive points as everyone now going to be coming into pit road. Some that already came in with that 30 to go deciding to come back into pit road. Others protecting their tires and going to be staying out. Borbell stays out. Gavin Rogers stays out, as well as Evan Pinocchio going to be staying out as well for themselves, as the field is going to get that quicker restart for the stage number 2.
That they will going to get that quicker restart for sure. And will the tire difference be a lot here? Because, you know, if you're Stallings, you're not giving up too much by coming down here and winning the stage. That was a huge gain for him there. That was a great execution, and it just shows you right there. Just because, you know, Rogers has been the quickest all night doesn't mean you're going to be the quickest when the right timing is in there. So, you know, when we come down to the end of this thing, it could be something like that plays out being the winning move.
We talked about, you know, needing some quick cautions to get Adam Buzzio back on the lead lap. Well, congratulations. The 5 machine gets the lucky dog on their first caution of the day, and on this one, the 5 is back on the lead lap. Now going to be entering pit road, going to get some service done before this next restart. Now Richard Wolfsburg going to be 1 lap down. The next driver is expecting to get that lucky dog spot as a driver that's 3 laps down. That's Rusty Sanchez, who had that major wheel spin. And Zach, that restart, I think that might be a sign for a lot of drivers that if you're going to stay out later in this race, maybe some knowledge you're going to take in. If we get a late caution, it is very risky to be out there on older tires on a restart.
I mean, it caught me off guard how much wheel spin happened there. I think it caught the two guys off guard too, because Rusty Sanchez, I mean, he was straight into the outside wall. And Carl Pooler, I mean, he was just trying to gather up everything because he had the leader take off in front of him, and the leader launched pretty well. And, from there, Carl Pooler just seemed like he just did not go forward. So it shows this track, tons of tire wear. And when you get into that restart zone, you're going to need that rubber to be able to propel yourself forward. So shows you how useful it is, and if you don't have a set of tires coming down to the end of the race, it could get very tricky up front.
Well, it's going to be a quick one, but let's talk to our stage winner of Dustin Starling, get a sense of how the 10 machine's feeling, and let's see if we can queue up that 10 machine. Dustin, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, winner of the stage here for stage number 1. How's that car feeling, and how are you feeling after the gamble you took to get up front?
Car's feeling pretty good. I'm still trying to kind of feel out the track before I start trying to get a little more aggressive with my throttle and brake and stuff. But so far, so good. If I can just manage the tires a little bit better, I should be in pretty good shape.
Well, I know it's going to be a quick restart here, so we'll send you back to your group, but good luck here on this stage number 2.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
As that will be your stage 1 winner of Dustin Stalling, starting in 4th place on this restart. Stephen Borbell going to be in 1st, and Gavin Patinko, in the 96 going to be in 2nd. 3rd will be Gavin Rogers, and Dustin Stalling in 4th. And the drivers that were just caught up in that last incident, going to be the 33 of Maddox. How to use a fast repair. This next restart, this next stage, could we be losing some drivers as we are back to green flag racing? And just like that, the race at the Rock 175 is underway, and it's Borbell, Rogers, right back to where they were before that first caution of the race.
Now my question is, how well can Borbell try to hold off the 77? The 77 seemed like he was kind of conserving tires there to start that run off, and Borbell was going for it, trying to go on the stage. And look at that, Rogers, just very quick pass right on the bottom and back to the point, Sam, up front where he wants to be.
Wants to be up front. I'm curious if Borbell maybe feeling like he needs to conserve his tires. A slight contact going to be made between Carl Pooler and the 10. A Stalling keeps it off the wall as the 10 machine, but that slight contact ruffles the feathers. The 10's going to have to give up position. The 33 on Maddox, the highest runner of those that have already used the fast repair. But looking back to that conversation of, Gavin Rogers and Borbell might have had to back off, save something here after how aggressive he was to the end of the stage. While Gavin Rogers protected those tires, how well is this going to translate as this run progresses forward? And for the drivers in the middle of the field, how well are they going to be aggressive here? Because Carl Pooler's the first driver on the freshest of tires. It's about 10 to 9 laps fresher tires is the 71 compared to our top 3.
That very well could play a huge factor here, Sam. We've seen tons of fall off from the tires. If you got better tires, it's going to help you the farther the run goes. So let's see if Carl Pooler, maybe someone like a Brendan Maddox, can use that to their advantage here and try to pull themselves forward along with Dustin Stallings. He's his first set there just a second ago on that stage. Let's see if he can get himself farther back up there closer to where he was battling with Borbell, and not too far off of Rogers.
It looks like already Carl Pooler getting height. Evan Patinko in the 96 machine and move up to 3rd place and running pretty similar times to our top 2 is the 71 of Carl Pooler still on the move. Maddox recovering after slight contact, and now the 33 on the charge to set up for the pass for 4th place. Other drivers in the middle of the field, some close racing action happening for 7th place as Clapper, Newell, as well as Jared Hughes and Adam Buzzio starting to be on top of one another. And this is the first time we're going to be seeing Buzzio with a chance to race up front as Patrick Hernandez is back out on track for the 91 machine.
Exciting to see Buzzio up here. I really think he could be a factor, guys. It was so sad when I saw him wreck off the 2 there and get that damage, and I completely forgot we had fast repairs. And then when he got it fixed, I was so excited for him because I felt like he could be a factor here tonight, Sam. And right here, already coming up to Jared Hughes and Jeremy Clapper, Newell. I think he's going to have a shot here to get around these guys and try to track down Stallings.
I mean, for Buzzio, a big thing that I think you could take away from this is, okay, you've got back on the lead lap. That's mission 1 completed after this race has started. Mission 2, just get as far up as you can before the end of stage 2. You're already in a position to at least grab some stage points. as the 5 machine is just trying to find a way to move forward. Qualified 4th was Buzzio, so we know there's speed underneath this machine. Is trying to protect those tires and move forward, as seeing the battling in front of him going on for 7th place.
This battling is definitely pretty good right here for him, and Jared Hughes is trying to make the pass on that 13. The 13's just doing a good job of holding the outside line, and with this view we get here, look at the run. They're going to have 3 wide down the back straightaway. Adam Buzzio to the inside, and he's going to get the 2-for-1 deal there, Sam, around the back straightaway.
A massive 2-for-1 deal. No longer going to be stuck behind the wall, and he'll take that advantage every single time. And now sliding away is Clapper Newell, who continues to fall back. And Adam Buzzio, that was not a planned move. He just said over the radio, but he'll take that advantage and move forward, as early troubles for Patrick Hernandez caught up in 2 early incidences. And the 91 Zach calling it a night. We're down to just 13 drivers now on track, 11 on the lead lap.
And it just shows you, again, having that set of tires could be that much more of an advantage here later, just with the less cars on the lead lap. So I think the more that number drops, the better it gets for drivers who have those extra sets of tires if we get down to a late race situation where they're needed. But right now, it seems like we're going pretty clean and green here for this so far for this stage, but we got some battle on his Borbell. He's under threat. It's Carl Puller who's driven up here, and not only that, that's Gavin Ryder's right in front of him. Puller using the advantage of these new tires here, flying up to the back of these guys.
Yeah, Carl Puller having the 9-lap advantage on tires has really been working in the favor of the 71. And making the move on the outside, using more tires for this move, but it might be worth it. You don't want to stay side by side for very long, but the power of the side draft, Borbell holds back Carl Puller from having a chance to complete that pass right there.
That is a great job by Borbell, just holding them back there, but Puller finally going to get it done. So see if Puller can track down Rodgers. I am having a little concern for Puller. You know, he does have those fresher tires, and he probably wants to take advantage of it. But man, oh man, is it going to be very, very tough to keep those tire advantage for that long by going, you know, this hard. So we'll see if he starts to manage it, or does he try to go up here and grab the lead before this stage ends.
Yeah, and the end of stage 2, kind of at the end of the lap at 90, we've already completed stage 1, where Dustin Stalling found himself in a victory lane for that first stage. And now hoping for stage number 2, it's Carl Puller wanting a little bit of luck on his side with the different strategy calls that were made. Carl Puller's only made 1 stop, and it was at the stage, went for the gamble, while everyone else pitted with 10 laps to go left in stage 1. 71 and 5 others took the chance, and now Puller was hoping to take succession here of a chance to take those lead quickly. With all that aggressive driving on the outside, those tires are going to be very tough to deal with, especially now, Zach. I mean, we still have 30 laps left in this run, and with how aggressive we've seen Puller run at this rate, I'm curious if he's even going to be able to, even if he even makes the pass, if he can hold off the recovery run that we're going to see from Rodgers and that of Stephen Borbell.
This is going to be very interesting to watch for sure. And even you got the likes of someone like Brendan Maddox, who kind of starting to claw his way up in here. He's on the same set of tires as Puller. Also Stallings here a little bit, but all 3 drivers up front in this trio up here, 2370s from them across the board. So pretty even times, even though Puller having that advantage of the tires. And oh, as I say that, up here front, Carl Puller loose off of 4, makes contact with the wall, and that just shows you he's had that advantage of the tires, but sometimes that can make you just get a little bit too much out of it.
Just too much. Now has to figure out how to cool off these tires, or at least go into salvage mode from here on out. And it's now going to be running that middle groove, not wanting to go down to that yellow line, nor does he want to go up fully to that second row. As Carl Puller continues to run, you know, talking about the speed that our top 3 have been putting down, the other driver that's competing just as fast as them, Adam Buzzio, who's now just caught up the 96 of Evan Patinko, who is trying to hold steady off the exit of turn 2, but that 5 is flying right now.
Patinko definitely under threat right now, as that 5, like you said, very, very quick. And on the recovery run, man, this is great to see if you're on that 5 team, because Buzzio is really able to get that car very hooked up right around the bottom, and that's where you want to be good if you go make passes. And there he goes up and past the 96 into the 6th position for the 5 machine.
makes the pass, and now going to be trying to catch up to the 10 of Dustin Stalling, who's going to be 1.3 seconds ahead of the Mach 5 machine. And for Buzzio, he's been running pretty similar lap times to the 10, but I think the 10 might have been saving something, as Stalling just ran just as fast as our leader, Kevin Rogers, and now is the second fastest car on track.
He's flying right now too. Yeah, he's closing up with these guys, and Rogers done a good job to really open the gap up on the group right behind him. But Stalling's definitely starting to march forward here with the group ahead of him. Is now Pooler under attack for that second position. Steven Borbell wants that spot, but it's loose right here on the inside, guys. So Borbell having to back out of it as they went down that back straightaway. He's going to have to reset him up here, Sam, but definitely has a little more grip than the 71 right now.
A little bit of grip, but that wall is saving grace for Carl Pooler as he continues to just graze it off the exit of turn 4, keeping the 71 straight. And as he's chasing it up the track, I mean, it's just small little taps here and there, but it can mount up quickly if you're not careful. So one bad angle, and you can find yourself really getting a lot of damage that can be required, as other battles that are going on track. This is the battle for 7th place. Patinko and Hughes going to be going side by side. The 96 and the 98 going to be battling on who can grab this 7th place position as we're inching closer and closer to the end of stage 2. Top 10 drivers get bonus points, and the further up you are, the more bonus points you grab. So Jared Hughes trying to move forward, a driver that also qualified decently well, qualified 6th here tonight, so there is some decent pace underneath that 68 machine. And a battling it's going on for 9th, 10 between themselves. It's going to be Jared Clapper-Newell and Matthew Erickson that are battling for 9th and 10th. This is for 1 and 2 bonus points.
This is what it's all about, man. When stage points are on the line, it's all about this last few positions. And right here, Erickson closing up on the back of Newell because he needs to go. David Hall is closing up also, and that's going to make this very interesting. The car in between them, that is a lapper of Rusty Sanchez, so it's not exactly the person who's going to be battling with them, but David Hall is closing in on these guys about 3/10 a lap. This 21 is going to beat to him at some point.
Yeah, closing in quickly and hoping that maybe Rusty Sanchez could stir the pot, get into that mixture, cause them to be a little bit slower. But I think the 21 and the 34 about to have their own battle as Hall tries to get by Sanchez. But this battle for 9th and 10th, again, if they continue to go back and forth on getting this close, hurting each other's speed, David Hall gets there. This 21 has a chance to try to steal a bonus point or even grab 2 bonus points if we can get by the both of them with 20 laps to go left in the stage.
This will be huge right here. This is great stuff because now Erickson to the inside of the 13. What is the 13 going to be able to do? Because if anything, right now Newell's thinking, okay, I just need to hold on to this spot and, you know, get as many points as possible. But he might be looking to lose 2 here off of 2 because the 13's getting a little checked up. The 21 has to check up himself also. This is going to get close here coming down to the end.
And Jeremy Clapper-Newell on the outside lane. See how rough this track is with the bumps just making all these vehicles look out of control. They continue to try to battle their way forward. It looks like stalling out is Hall right now. Was kind of needed to see Erickson complete that pass as they continue to fight side by side. And as this battle is continuing on, Clapper-Newell stays high, and that allows Erickson to blast on through. Now setting up the pass for Hall, but also issues for Steve Rebell and Carl Pooler about 2 laps ago to the exit of turn 2. Both of them are starting to have some handling issues for themselves.
Handling issues creeping in here, man. Those tires falling away for all of these drivers, and they still got a long way to go as Erickson has gotten away from that group of 13, and we're looking now to the 10 of Stallings, who's closed his gap down. He's going to be looking to maybe drive himself up into the 2nd position here, Sam. He's done it very methodically. Got to give Stallings a huge bit of credit here.
Continues to fight forward and now trying to set up for this pass to move into 3rd place. Gavin Rogers looking clean. That as long as this run stays green, should be your stage winner. But how far up will Dustin Stalling place himself? The 10 has done a great job of protecting his tires to make this push for a chance to maybe be running for 2nd place if he can hit his marks, as Carl Pooler trying to defend the best that he can. But the 71 continues to run that inside lane, and Stalling forced to go wide. The extra little bit of grip that you're using up, everything you saved up could be gone in an instant as Carl Pooler tries his best to defend, but the crossover move, give it to Stalling. He's got the inside lane now.
What a move from Stallings. Can he complete it though here off of 2? He will get it done and clear the 71. So great job up the third there for Stallings. And that's how you set up a pass, man. You got to really make that driver in front of you think where you're not going to be. And that's going to put them in a position to where you can get that clean air. These next-gen cars all about clean air. We've seen it all night long that you can be quick, but as soon as you get up to somebody, it's just tough to make a pass till you can find a lane that's not, being used by that driver ahead. So we'll see if Stallings has enough time here to run down Borbell. I think he does, Sam, if he can put some consistent times.
That's a big thing. Put down some consistent times if possible, as a driver that really needs bonus points. Almost in a heroic spot. That was going to be Jeremy Clapperdool, who was in 10th place and has now lost that position to David Hall. And I think with this run here tonight, with the way that Clapperdool hasn't really been able to grab those major bonus points here tonight, might be in a spot where might not even have a chance to fight to make the playoffs next week. Homestead, last race of the regular season. There's no win in your in system. You have to point your way through, and it was already kind of a tough chance for drivers that are outside of the top 12 to try to point their way into the top 10. As Carl Pooler has a massive save for the 71. But a lot of these drivers that are inside our top 10, they're all pretty much solidified on where they're at points-wise, as it's actually Brandon Maddox that's in a spot where he really needs to gain some massive points on Patrick Hernandez, who again is out of this race, not getting stage bonus points for stage 2.
Look at this here. This is getting spicy too. Adam Buzzio has driven himself up almost into the top 5. And I've been watching lap times. If he can get himself some track position here for that final run to the end of this race, he may be the driver that gives Gavin Rogers his best run for his money, because he was very, very quick these last 5-6 laps before he caught up to this group, really showing the pace if he could just get out front. But right now, stuck behind the 33. He's got to find a way around because the 71 struggling, dropping back in front of him. He can set them up both. He'll be able to get a clean pass, maybe all the way up to 4th.
Well, Brandon Maddox, again, talking about drivers that need every point possible. Maddox comes in 11th in points. He needs these points to catch up to Patrick Hernandez. It was a 30-point buffer between 11th and 10th in points. So for Maddox, he needs to stay in front every point. And oh boy, what a save by Buzzio. He almost had the same wreck again that could have taken him out of this race.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Sam. Like I said, he was going to have that same incident that just happened to him earlier, but the save was there this time, and shows you he was trying to get everything out of it. He knows what's available to him here. If he can get up to 4th, that sets him up to where he qualified earlier this evening, and that's where he wanted to start this race. But if he can get back there, I think that gives him the shot to be able to try to fight for a win.
Brandon Maddox now down the inside, willing to use a little bit of those fenders, bring the elbows out to the 33, moving forward on Carl Pooler, and Carl Pooler feeling that effect of pushing those tires too aggressively early on, but he's going to try the crossover move for the 71, not able to make that positioning, will slot back in line. Maddox goes forward. Oh boy, Buzzio down inside. It's a stack 3 wide. Buzzio thought he could take another 2 for 1. Instead, he'll have to set up for another lap, as it's 5 laps to go here tonight.
Whoa, that was
First
close.
stage number 2.
He thought about that 2-for-1 deal again, Sam. He liked that deal he got earlier at the store. He thought he saw it set up, and maybe it's going to set up for him here as they make contact off of 2. The 5 happens the run, but the 71 fighting for everything right here with Maddox.
I mean, different mentalities. You got to think Maddox knows every point's so crucial to get as close as he can to Hernandez for next week's race for a chance to run in the playoffs. For Carl Pooler, he's already inside of the top 10, pretty solidified in 5th. And then we got Adam Buzzio 3rd in points, just trying to close in that gap even more and have a better positioning for when the playoffs come around. But Maddox has a better run as they continue to race forward. Gavin Rogers inching closer and closer. Stage 2, misspoke before. It's not 5 laps to go until the end of the race. We're coming to the end of stage 2. Major bonus points. Top 10 drivers get bonus points here. Winner gets 10 bonus points. Second gets 9. Third gets 8 bonus points as it continues to go down. And Carl Pooler, speaking of going down, he'll lose another spot into the wall.
That was so close for Pooler. He somehow is keeping it straight, as he's going to get passed now finally by Buzzio. The 96, he's driven his way up here close to these drivers. It ain't over yet for this battle.
it's not over for that battle, and also the battle for second is getting a little hot and heavy as Steven Borbell and Dustin Stalling made some contact off the exit of turn 4 as the 10 was trying to make the pass for second. Doesn't hold out. Instead, we'll have to continue racing forward as we are officially on the last lap of stage 2. Gavin Rogers 5 seconds away. This is his own race to lose, but everyone else has been putting on a show for these battles for every single position. And David Hall trying to make his way up inside of the top 9 if possible, but the exit turn 4, give it to Gavin Rogers. Stage 2 winner. Wasn't able to get stage 1, but he'll take a stage 2 win.
Big job by Gavin Rogers getting the second stage victory and setting himself up with some great track position for the final run of this race, as the others still looking to get across that line to finish out our stage.
And as they come across the line, David Hall, last lap pass to take 9th position. The 21 will move Matthew Erickson to 10th place. What a run for the field here tonight as stage 1 and stage 2 are over. Field gets ready for the end of this run, but 92 laps in the book here, Zach, and Gavin Rogers, no surprise, he's finally found that solidification of when it's clean and green, he's the favorite.
That's for sure. When it's clean and green and he's got track position and clean air, this 77 flies, man. But he's going to have some newcomers here, and Borbell maybe uses stuff up just a little too much, you know, trying to get around Pooler and battle all that. We'll see now when they line him back up what he'll be able to do, but great job by Rogers here. I'm sure he'll be happy with how that stage played out.
Well, for us, we usually talk to our stage winner. If we get another quick caution, we'll see if we can talk to Gavin Rogers. But for now, we got to take our first commercial break of the evening. Thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series at The Rock. It is the 12th race of the season, the race at The Rock 175, as drivers have now completed stage 1 and stage 2. When we come back, it's to see who wins the race.
They're 5 wide behind her pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at it, that's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes.
Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crumford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck
Oh,
it.
they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. And we are green. Back to racing action for the race at the Rock 175 for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. Gavin Rogers taking the stage win for stage number 2. Stephen Borbell, Carl Pooler, Dustin Stalling, as well as Adam Buzzio, your top 5 as they go through lap number 1. This is stage 3. It's all about who's going to get to the end and win the race from here on out. Looking for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, your new home for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall in the booth. Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. Zach, there's been a couple of quick yellows through stage 1 and stage 2, but now it's all about getting to the end.
That it is, Sam, all about getting to the end of this thing and setting yourself up to be in position. Because right now the battle is raging on Pooler here. Now on even tires in that 71, he's trying to fight Borbell, but Borbell's going to hold on to that spot. Now Buzzio up to 5th. This has got some new players in the system. Let's see how they go.
And for Carl Pooler, how much knowledge did he take from that second stage? And that fresher rubber was very aggressive on his tires, and it backfired quickly on the long run. Well, the 71 trying to piece himself with the likes of Stalling and also Buzzio. Those drivers are very quick at the end of our pass run, coming to the end of this stage, stage 2. And oh boy, big slide for going to be Stephen Borbell and Pooler, as Pooler has to back out of it with the scare with the 2.
So close there for those guys off of turn 2. And turn 2, always that calamity corner. It seems is now Pooler loose again off of 4. And Stalling's going to be on this outside trying to make that pass. I don't think Pooler's saving the tires this time either, Sam. I think he's going for it.
I mean, he's got to try to recover, and that rear end is not happy. It just wants to spin around at this point. A lot of heat is built up just in 2 corners, in 2 laps, I should say. And 71 in a scary spot as Dustin Stalling trying to move forward. Adam Buzzio, great recovery run. It was 2 laps down to start this race off. Was having internet issues, and the 5 machine was able to get the cautions that were needed. Now in 5th place, was one of the faster drivers at the end of the stage. Curious on how well he can get moving forward. Some issues, though, for drivers in the middle of the field. Talked about how there was a chance of some drivers dealing with internet issues because of the major storms that are heading through the Midwest. And it looks like Brandon Maddox, we got some good stage points. He's starting to have some connection issues here, Zach. And the 33 is just hoping that it will hold on to the end of the race. But he might be getting a black flag here soon if he continues to be blinking as much as he is.
Oh, it is really bad for him. Like, one of the worst conditions I've seen in a long time, and it's really tough to see because there's nothing that in his control he can do except for hope it clears up and just make sure to stay out of the way of the competition. That looks like what he is doing is we're seeing a lot of these guys, try to get around him without having any issues.
Trying their best, as it's hard for us. We can't even put a camera on him, but you can see him blinking there, looking back from Hughes in the 98 machine. The reason why is if we try to put a camera on the 33 machine, it will throw us into a scenic view, which is a completely different camera we don't want to be on watching this racing action. But that blinking in and out has been going on now for 3 laps straight, and Maddox is obviously kind of annoyed. You got to be annoyed by it because he had a chance for some big points, but Patrick Hernandez having issues early in this race and going to take 14th position. And this was his chance to have a better shot next week at Homestead to take that final playoff spot.
It was his best shot for sure. And now we're going to see some of these interesting battles here. Just look at this. Richard Wolsifer, who's that 1 lap down after his wreck earlier. He's got himself up in the mix here with these lead lap cars, trying to go back, maybe get the lap back the old-fashioned way.
And Richard Wolsifer was hoping to get the lucky dog spot after the roll caution for stage 2, but instead he's got a handful underneath the 56 machine. He's trying to stay 1 lap down and hoping not to be the caution that brings out a yellow, because if he is involved, then he'll find himself not even getting the lucky dog spot. That would go to Matthew Erickson in 12th place, but this 56, Zach, he is looking out of control, and it's hard to tell if it's the looseness that's getting out of control or maybe a slight brake bias changeup that's affecting this 56.
It very well could be that, because this track here, you're on the brakes for a while, so that can have a pretty big balance change for the race car. And not only that, but just overheat certain parts of the race car. So gotta watch out for that brake balance. And the thing about the brake bias in this car, you can go wild with it. You can go as far down or up as you want when it comes to the adjustments. Most cars we have in iRacing, you can only go 3% and down 3%, so it gives you that 6% window. These cars, you got about 20-30% to play with, so you can really be cranking on that thing in there. and causing some issues and maybe even fixing some things sometimes, hopefully.
Well, I know one driver that's starting to get antsy. That's Adam Buzzio on the 5 and the 10 of Starling. They've been watching Carl Poulter trying his best to get by Borbell. Has not worked out. And the 5 machine, who's tried so many dive bomb moves that have actually worked out pretty well here in the first half of the race. Second half, let's see if those same moves are not going to work out instead of the back half of the field with the top half of the grouping. That's Adam Buzzio now also under fire from Patinko, and also seeing Richard Wolfsburg trying to unlap himself the hard way. The 56 not caring that he's running with lead lap drivers. It is go time for the 56 machine.
It is, man. I tell you what, the 56 tried everything as he's losing again there, Sam. And what a save. He almost had the same thing happen to him that he did earlier. And that we've seen it from this next gen car. We saw it at Doghouse. We're seeing it now here at BRB. It really takes just a little bit of slipping and sliding and overheating that right side of the car, and you're going to be holding on for dear life as Wolfsburg. I don't think it's going to be done from him yet. I think it's only going to start to compound more.
Yeah, and for Richard Wolfsburg, I'm surprised that we're seeing that over-aggressiveness by the 56. He's only driver 1 lap down. The next closest driver is going to be Maddox. Oh boy, sliding, trying to keep himself off the barrels, and that's going to be bringing out a yellow flag. That's needed for Wolfsburg, but at the same point, he will not be getting the lucky dog spot because he's the driver that brought out the yellow. The lucky dog position should be going to Matthew Erickson.
Oh man, just I don't want to say we called it, Sam, but that one was riding on the wall, as they would say. And tires overheating, car starts sliding, that continues to compound, and it's just an exponential graph almost of just tire heat skyrocketing and grip loss going down.
And with that being a single car wreck and us seeing that incident, we'll see if we can talk to Gavin Rogers later on under this pacing once the drivers are able to complete their pit stops and get a sense on how the 77's feeling. But this has now puts them in an awkward spot. Again, these drivers were given a total of 5 sets in pit road to work with. And now, Zach, the majority of the field has come into pit road 2 times, so they still have 3 sets and tires to work with. Do they decide to come into pit road? It looks like that seems to be the call as we look at our race report. 4 cautions so far, as we've had 3 league changes as pit road and pit stops are underway.
That they are, everybody coming down the pit road, and this is where we're starting to use up some sets of tires here, folks. More and more, as some of these cautions late in this race, the more sets get used on these cars, the more people like Dustin Stallings. It falls into their lap, maybe, possibly. That could be the thing I think that Gavin Rogers has to be thinking in his head. I can't get beat by the tire strategies, because that is really, I think, the only thing that can stop him, and he's just seemed to have such good long-run pace.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking so tough. Also, have a report on Richard Wolfsburg. Actually, that caution might actually still help out the 56, because when he spun out, he was still just 1 lap down, and everyone had to go into pit road. The wave around might still be possible for Richard Wolfsburg to just stay out. It'll be on 20 lap older tires than the rest of the field, but hey, that's a strategy call that may help out Richard Wolfsburg here, as well as helping the 28 of Matthew Erickson, who's going to be 1 lap down with being gifted the lucky dog spot. So interesting all around on where drivers lie, but hey, let's see if we could talk to our stage 2 winner and see how he's running here on this go. 77, Gavin Rogers and Sam and Zach up in the booth. You got us?
What's up, guys?
I mean, it's been a while, Gavin, but it's good to hear your voice. How are you feeling? Stage 2 winner. How are you feeling about this car and your situation being up front?
I'm feeling great, Sam. You know, we're having a great time out here. Definitely not the attendance we wanted, but you know, we're that last run we were really saving a lot there. I feel like I was saving almost too much. Seems like me, Steven, and Adam were all very similar on tires, so we're looking very good for this final stage. Just got to keep it together. Hope there's not many more cautions, because I really feel like we have that long run pace. But even if so, I think we still have that short run pace. So just got to see how it plays out. We're feeling really good so far, though.
Definitely looking good, Gavin. I tell you what, man, it's been fun to watch you so far. How's the balance of the car out there? It seems like a few guys struggling with a few different things. It just seems like the car can kind of do anything, just depending on how you're driving it.
Yeah, it's a very rough track. It definitely burns the tires up, especially if you lose it a little bit. I know that that's just what happened to Richard. I was telling my guys, I'm like, I hear someone say good save Richard. I'm like, watch, you might lose it here, because I know how loose he's been lately in the practice sessions. But yeah, it's very loose, especially on exit. It seems like it just gets light. Kind of, I don't know what Richard's doing there, but yeah, when you're coming off the corners, it kind of goes downhill a little bit, and especially when you're in 1 and 2, you're running high, and 1 kind of cutting down 2, you're getting real loose, so you have to really keep the wheel straight and kind of feather the throttle. But yeah, it's been very loose for sure, especially on the longer ends. Just gotta hope these guys can keep it straight.
Well, we're hoping that you make it through this restart, Gavin. Good luck, and we'll send you back to your team, and hopefully we'll be talking to you at the end of the night.
Appreciate it, guys.
As that will be the 77 of Gavin Rogers, your stage 2 winner. But as the drivers had a little bit of confusion, as Richard Wolfsburg was told to go to the back, then was gifted the wave around. That's why there was a little bit of complication that was going on for a quick second. But the drivers are now through 3 and 4. It's time for us to get back to green flag racing as we find ourselves with 60 laps to go here tonight. It's going to be a quick dash if these drivers can keep it clean and green, but is that going to be possible? Let's find out. Pace car to pit road. The race at the Rock 175 is back underway as Gavin Rogers takes the green flag, and Steve Borbell and others, do they change up their strategies on this next stint?
That's the question at hand. Do they go out here and try to get the lead as Buzzio almost into the outside wall? That's going to allow Carl Puller to the inside here down the back straightaway, and now Buzzio going to try to hold him off. Can he hold on to this positioning, or will the 71 fight forward? Here's Puller's doing.
Trying to fight forward as quickly as they can, as it looked like Richard Wolfsburg was not able to get just 1 lap back. Instead, he had to go into pit road to handle with a, oh no, Carl Puller slides for himself, locking it down, keeping it down low. No yellow flag is thrown, but those tires are now cooked for the 71 as we stay green.
What a save from Carl Puller, and he's had a few moments tonight that almost needed saves. This was the first one that went full to that mode, and what a job by him to do that and collect no damage. The biggest thing that's going to be damaged is maybe a little bit of his ego and those tires. That is definitely going to hurt in that area of grip.
In a sequence of 1 lap, both limitless drivers having issues. Richard Wolfsburg having to serve a black flag penalty going into pit road, which kind of threw away getting his lap back. Now is back to 2 laps down. And for Carl Puller, sliding and falling down to 10th place. Last car on the lead lap. And the drivers up front. Battle for 2nd place is now on. Stephen Borbell and Adam Buzzio starting to find a mixture as Buzzio says it is go time for the 5 machine. He's already made the pass for 2nd, and he's got his sights set on trying to battle and put pressure on Gavin Rogers.
I think he's seen Gavin take off, and that might have triggered something in Buzzio to say, I cannot let him drive away. I just can't let that happen. I like the call, get up to 2nd and see what he can do here. First time we've seen Buzzio be in this position. He could be the challenger that we're looking for.
We talked about the fact of similarities of Rockingham to Dover. It was the closest similarity we could find. As Gavin Rogers just put down the fastest lap of the race. Holy smokes, with a 23.38 second time. But it was Adam Buzzio that won at Dover, had the most laps led, put down the fastest lap. And with the similarities, the closest that we could find from races that have already been ran this season, Adam Buzzio is a driver to watch out for if we get longer into this run and he can continue the pace that he's shown so far here tonight.
That is, he could be one that could really make the factor for sure, but back here farther, you guys are definitely going at it. It looks like Brendan Maddox here, 33. Seems like the internet might have cleaned up a little bit for him, Sam, so that's a good sign as he's battling. Here's the 98 of Jared Hughes. Makes the move as he's going to try to slide behind the 96.
Hughes trying to move forward, get behind the 96. As Evan trying his best to move forward. Also have another report of another driver not able to finish out tonight's race. Rusty Sanchez, the 34 machine, have a report, decided to park it. Didn't want to mess anyone's day up. Still learning was the call from 34. So gonna do a start and park for this race. Made it through stage 1 and 2. So you can take kudos in that. For a driver that's still trying to learn, we talked about how there's new drivers for us to learn. And those drivers, some of them are still trying to just learn iRacing themselves.
That they are, Sam. This is a great way to learn when these tracks are not as clogged up. It's a great way to just get experience and make laps out here, and I think a few guys definitely trying to learn here for sure. And right now the 98 putting the pressure on, looking to the outside. Jared Hughes, this has been a great battle, and this is gonna get real close here off of 2. as they're going to be side by side here heading down to 3 where it gets a little bit more bump.
Patinko on the inside, Hughes on the outside. As Hughes tries to work that rubber for the 98 machine, it will make it look clean and easy up to 5th place. Evan Patinko decides to back off, and you know, for the drivers that are backing off, not trying to put the most pressure on their tires right now, it's a good call. You know that you're really not racing the Gavin Rogers, the Adam Buzzios. Those guys are in their own zip code already. You're really challenging the drivers that are around 3rd, 4th, 5th. If you are protecting your tires, you still have a chance to go out and maybe catch up to those guys if maybe they use too much of their rubber trying to keep up to the massive pace that our front 2 are putting down.
The pace is definitely very strong out front from these guys, and Buzzio has closed it down. It's only 0.2 of a second separating them. Has Buzzio used too much though, or is he trying to put the pressure? That's just the key of these things sometimes. You got to be able to not allow that driver in front of you to relax, but you also cannot overwork your tires trying to put the pressure on them. So it's always a tough position when you're sitting in the 2nd spot, also stuck in the dirty air of the car ahead. Let's see how this goes.
How do you set up this pass? You're right on board with the 5 machine of Adam Buzzio, right on the back bumper, and you're seeing the different driving styles already just on the exit of turn 4. Buzzio staying shallow while Gavin Rogers stays high, gives up the position, says take the lead as the 5 pulls away. But was that just a kind of an opossum move? You're saying, all right, I'm going to lay back, you take off, use up your rubber, I'll strike later on.
And look at Stallings. Here he comes in the 10. Where did he come from, Sam? Last time by 23.49 from him. He was almost a half a second quicker than these guys. He's pushing really hard now.
Both Gavin Rogers and Stalling have put down their fastest laps of the race on this run. And what I'm most concerned about is for Gavin Rogers, how much is he saving right now? Because this is the first time I've seen him in a green flag running situation where he's ran a 24-second lap time, the lap prior to the one that they just put down. That's his first time getting back into the 23s in a while, but he's really been in a salvage mode, while Adam Buzzio, Stalling, they have been in the go button. They have been pressing it as quickly as possible. Well, the rest of the field, they're starting to have some struggles as drivers back in 6th, 7th, 8th position. They're having their own battles of handling issues, but up front, it's all about using up your rubber.
And it is, and we'll see how long that can last for sure. But right here, David Hall, who got that 9th position in the stage, he's starting to make moves and come up through the field here, trying to take over 7th and get past Brendan Maddox. This could be a very good charge for Hall, as he just couldn't get the drive off of 2 there. He's got the slip behind the coming through.
Big slip up for Matthew Erickson, as well for Richard Wolsifer. Those 2 drivers that are lapped out, struggling at this moment to keep their feet underneath them as this field continues to stay green, inching closer and closer to 40 laps to go here tonight. Another big swing to the inside. That's going to be seeing the 96 who got loose off the exit of turn 2. Zach, it's almost like they all forgot that they had to run over 60 laps on this run to protect these tires. It has been just use up your rubber now, like we've got 5 to go.
These guys are just going for it, Sam. They ain't saving nothing. There's nothing about saving the book right now for them. I think they're thinking this could be the run for it all. And, when sometimes you get in that final run of the race, it's hard to let yourself save. And right now, it seems like everybody's kind of, turned up the wick just a little bit more as Buzzio made that pass for the lead. It seems like everybody's going faster.
Gavin Rogers last time by, fastest driver on track. And Gavin Rogers trying now to figure out, okay, I know I'm faster than the 5. Protected my tires for a little bit more than what Buzzio did. Was that a good move to just let the 5 drive on by? Or was defending the better positioning? As if you're defending and holding back the driver, it would have put Stalling and also Barbell in a better position, maybe to attack. Could be that 2nd, 3rd round of drivers that you might have to defend for. Instead, letting Adam Buzzio take off, use that fresh air. And Zach, these next-gen cars, fresh air is key, it seems like, in any fixed open setup league like we cover on Thursday nights for the Doghouse Cup Series. Fresh air is king with this next gen.
It is everything, Sam. It is what it's everything about. And that's why you can't sometimes be in Gavin Rogers' position of saving too much. You can get put in that sticky situation of well, I'm trying to save my tires, but then you get stuck in that dirty air and you can't find your way back around, and you actually end up using more tires to get back around the person that you gave the lead up to in the first place. So it's one of those situations where you got to weigh those options, but I still think Roger's still saving something.
Oh, trouble on the backstretch, battling, going on for 6th place. It's Brandon Maddox as well as Patenko, and going to be seeing David Hall, all involved with one another. And we're going to be having a quick caution with 35 laps to go. It's time for the final dash here tonight.
This is going to be exciting. This has set up a lot of stuff here that can play out different ways. Here we'll go back and check out the replay, but I'm so excited for how this is going to play out. We're going to have a little bit of shorter run here to end this race, and these guys are going for it. And here goes the 96 diving up the inside of the 33. And I think catches that curb, Sam, and that's going to shoot him up into Brendan Maddox.
And then also going to be seen get clipped by David Hall, and Maddox just holding the brake as well as others, and luckily enough space for drivers to go to the outside. And take another look at it. Yeah, that apron, it is such a dangerous spot with how much banking there is in the corners for these drivers. You touch that yellow line, go a little bit over that yellow, and you'll find yourself just shooting up and hits the banking, hits the curb, and it just slingshots Patinko into the outside of Maddox. And I thought we were going to see a bigger wreck there, but it's the slide after the fact of getting clipped by Hall at that moment that brings out the yellow.
That is exactly like you said. That's what's going to bring out that yellow, and heavy hits for a few drivers is actually going to send the 33 down farther on the track too. Here's we get another little bit of a view as you see farther down the incident. They're spinning down that racetrack. So seems like tonight has been one of those scenes where at some point we end up getting that yellow, and it gets to change up the whole strategy of this race. And, you know, we're starting to use up sets of tires again. Can Dustin Stallings be in the position to have that extra set again?
It's going to get hectic here as field deciding to use another set. Majority of the field now only has one set of tires left for this next run, and it's going to be a hard decision on how they're going to tackle this next restart for themselves. And I know it's going to be chaotic on seeing where you want to place yourself, but for Gavin Rogers, I'm curious on how he's feeling about this restart, because Adam Buzzio now is going to be to his inside or outside wherever the 77 decides to place himself. The 5 will be on the opposite side, and for Stephen Borbell and for Stalling, they need Buzzio to attack like he was doing underneath during that last stint.
That he does. I'll tell you, Buzzio went for it and, you know, now lost the lead on that pit stop, but I think he's got a good shot at it still, Sam. I think you're going to have Gavin Rogers turn it up another notch here, but he's still going to have to think, you know, Buzzio is going to be willing to send it, and this track's wide. It has the availability to run different lines. I think he'll be able to set him up, and I think you'll even have Borbell maybe a little bit more aggressive here, and now even Hughes up into the top 5. This is going to get very interesting.
Another factor also you got to throw in, how do you want to run with one another? The top 3 we talk about, hey, send it, ship it, use your elbows, move the driver around. But our top 3 are teammates. They're all part of the Next Level Motorsports team of Borbell, Buzzio, and Rogers. How do they want to race one another? Do you even, you know, say, hey, Gavin's gotten a win, Adam's gotten a win, if you're Borbell, and say, I'm going to make a move, I want to get back into victory lane. I know I can get there, proven it in other leagues, and I want to be that next driver that can get into victory lane and be the 5th driver that's done so.
It's always great to get in the victory lane, so we'll see if someone new can do that. Can they add their names to the likes of someone like a Gavin Rogers, or will it be the likes of Buzzio breaking back in? You know, he performed well at Dover. This is a similar track we felt like, so let's see if he can take some of that, what he learned there, and apply it on this restart, because he's going to have his hands full along with Stallings and Borbell. I think really these front 4 are the ones to watch out for, but don't look too far. In 5th, Carl Pooler, we know how wild of a night he's had. He had that big save. He's now up here to try to run hard with these guys.
A little bit of trouble, though, for a driver deeper in the field. Jared Hughes, quick driver, had some issues. It looks like internet controller, internet or PC issues struck. The 98 had to pull off to the inside on the back stretch and will not be a part of this restart. Has to go straight into pit road as we are green for the race at the Rock 175. It's Gavin Rogers, Adam Buzzio up front, pulling away from the rest of the field as they go down into turn number 3.
what a start for Rogers is exactly what he wanted. But Buzzio did everything he needed to, made sure he didn't lose any track position. Now has a chance here. Can he keep pace with Rogers? What do they have here when it comes to a little bit shorter of a run to the end of this race?
And do you protect your tires if you're the drivers in that third, fourth position, or do you need to go into attack mode and catch up to Gavin Rogers and Adam Buzzio? Carl Pooler loving the fact that he's got another chance to recover here, being in 5th place. But our top two, really now it's just our top driver, Gavin Rogers. He is not protecting tires, it doesn't look like at all. Zach went fastest lap, a 23.2 was the last lap that Gavin Rogers just put down. That's faster than his qualifying lap that he put down.
This track is getting quicker, and sideways. Here's Pooler around again.
Carl Pooler trying to get himself straightened out. His oncoming traffic is nowhere close, so we will stay clean in green. Jared Hughes has called it a night for the 98 after his issues, and Rogers just put down another fastest lap of the race. He's pulling away almost over a second ahead of Adam Buzzio.
What a job for Rogers. He's out here qualifying right now. And Buzzio's just trying to put down his fastest laps along with him. So, I mean, really everybody is. It's just flashing purple right now for a lot of people. And again, Buzzio there, quicker on that time for his time, but a little bit quicker than Rogers even. So we'll see if Buzzio can start to close it down, but just showing me right here, a lot less saving going on in this run.
Saving is not in the cards for this field. It is go, go, go. Currently less than 30 laps to go here tonight. Gavin Rogers, Adam Buzzio, Stephen Borbell, the teammates continue to stay up front in the top 3. Other drivers are trying their best to salvage whatever position they can. And currently it's battling going on for 6th, 7th. In trouble for 8th place, Matthew Erickson has a little bit of a slip up off the exit of turn 2. And Zach, with how fast we're seeing these drivers putting down times and qualifying laps, I got a feeling we're not making it to the end of this race with the way that we've seen the handling just fall off a cliff later on in this stint.
Yeah, I completely agree. As the run goes on and the harder they push, it's only going to come faster now to the point where they start to get loose and start to lose the rear ends of these cars. So I could see us, even getting cautions a little bit earlier than we've seen throughout the race. So start to see here a little bit more sideways action and a little bit more drivers fighting those rear ends as they know it's all go now.
Now going to be 25 laps to go. It'll be 24 once they cross the line again. 5 drivers still having their fast repair in their back pocket just in case they're caught up in an incident, being Carl Pooler in 10th, as well as Jeremy Clapnewell's going to be in 6th. Then Justin Stalling, Stephen Borbell, and Gavin Rogers, the only drivers that are still out on track that still have a fast repair. Everyone else has used up their fast repair here tonight. Also, update on the 98, disconnected, restarted iRacing, and is back out on track as Jared Hughes 6 laps down. I hate to see that for a driver that was aiming for a top 5 here tonight.
It is very, very tough for a driver that was aiming for that. And sometimes it just slips away, and these are longer races too, Sam. So it's hard. You got to stay with it, and anything can, really cause a big issue for you at any step of the time. But looking at the battle start to heat up here for 3rd as Borbell has just had this tint all over his back bumper, and Stallings, we saw last time in that last run, was very, very quick. Let's see if this run here he can find that same pace to be able to get up here and challenge.
For Borbell and Stalling, they both kind of were steady. They were willing to allow our front 2 to take off and pull away. I'm curious on what number they're circling up, saying, okay, this is the number when we are no longer saving. It is completely go, take every position we can, take every 10th off that we can to catch up to Gavin Rogers. I'm curious if they're already in that mode, and it looks like they are, as Stalling, the only driver that was able to put down a 23.3, and that's the first time Stalling's done that in the past 5 laps.
He is really starting to turn up the wick, so to say, and that's such a fast lap for this late in the run, in my opinion. So shows you that he saves a little bit as the start of the run goes, but then he really starts to push here later and use his tire. But where is he going to go? That's going to be the question, Sam. He's running a very similar line to Borbell, a little bit lower on the racetrack to kind of get that clean air, but it's going to be tough to pass here, I think.
It certainly can be, and for the likes of Dustin Stalling, getting a winner of the Stage 1, took the gamble, decided not to come into pit road to save a set of tires for Stage 2 and for the rest of the race, and trying to maximize the amount of points that this 10 can grab. That came into tonight 7th in points, but only with a small little buffer to work with coming into the rest of this season. And right now the 10 is trying to set up for a pass. Other drivers with some close battling is for 6th place. It's Clapper Newell as well as David Hall racing between one another as for Jeremy Clapper Newell, he's trying his best to stay in front of Hall, as Hall's been one of the drivers that just came in late in the season. He's only ran 4 races this season. This is his 5th, and trying to get up front and finish out this race. First and best finish so far this season instead of our top 10.
Definitely having a great run here for him, man, and he's putting the pressure on, Newell, and Newell's a little bit loose there off of 4, and that's going to open up the door there for the 21, and now going to dive to the inside here, down into 1 and 2. And this is the preferred way to get a pass done, gets it done, and makes it stick down the back straight away. So great job for Hall there. He made the late stage heroics there earlier. Now starting to do a great job here in this final run to even move himself farther.
Trouble for the 71. Carl Pooler has to make an emergency pit stop for the 71 machine after heavy contact into the wall after trouble out of the exit of turn 2. Broken looks to be front end, front right, and front left for the 71. Has to go into pit road. As we take a look here, again, exit of turn 2 has been the troublesome spot, and it takes another victim. Carl Pooler, who's been struggling here in the last 50 laps, just continues to find his struggles with his hardest hit here so far.
And it just steps away from you. It just happens so fast. These next gen cars, they get a little bit sideways, and it's not like your previous generations of the NASCAR Cup cars, the Xfinity cars, and the trucks, because those suspensions and rear ends were built with skew in them, and the factor of being sideways. These cars and these next gens, much more straight line bodies and much straighter when they go down the racetrack. So it makes that factor of getting sideways a little bit more sketchy. When it happens much quicker, and also with the different steering systems, it's a little bit sharper of a feeling. So it makes everything that much tougher, I think, in this car.
Gavin Rogers feeling comfortable for now, but for how long? It's a half a second gap between the 77 and a pot of 3 that are slowly each and every lap closing in the gap. It was almost up to a second difference between first and second. Buzzio, Morvel, Stalling, all slowly catching up, but the issue for those 3 drivers, they want to figure out who's going to be the lead driver to move forward, and it looks like Morvel wants to make the pass by Buzzio, and Buzzio no longer going to be the Pied Piper. Instead, it's the 2 that's trying to pull this group along to catch up to Gavin Rogers.
And here comes Stallings also to follow him with him, and great job by those 2. Buzzio's not going to fight him too hard because I think he knows, hey, if they can go up there and track down Rogers, that'll slow up this whole group. That gives me my best opportunity along with him.
Trying to figure out with the lap slowly ticking away. 11, about to be 10 when they cross the line. Gavin Rogers has been the dominator. Didn't get to win stage 1, but won stage 2. Grabbed the pole, was the fastest during practice. And now 77, hoping that a half a second is a big enough lead to hold steady for the win here tonight and to grab his 7th win of the season. As they continue to race forward, 10 laps to go here, Zach. And the battle for 3rd looks to be the closest one on track besides the battle going on for 6th place. But up front, Gavin Rogers, he's starting to pull away again.
That he is, I think, starting to open up a little bit of a gap, but it was the last time by, actually, Borbo was quicker. We'll see this time by what the times are, so about 300ths separating our top 2, but that side time going to Gavin Rogers' hand, so the gap does grow, but through 1 and 2, Borbell with a good 1 and 2 is going to actually close it down just a teeny bit. So the closer it gets, the tougher it does get also, Sam, but also the more pressure that ramps up on the 77.
But will we stay green with less than 10 laps to go? The reason I throw that question out, we got some heavy racing for 6th place. David Hall, as well as Clapper Newell and Erickson, are on top of one another, and they have been within inches of spinning each other out for the last 4 laps. And finally, Hall gets the clean run off the exit of the corner. That's probably the safest they've been as these laps slowly trickle away.
It has been so close between those 2. It has been back and forth. And now look, again, the 5 going to fight here on Stallings, who's starting to make a run for it. After he got that pass done, starting to struggle a little bit as Buzzio makes the pass. But I tell you what, Borbell has closed it down, Sam. It's almost 0.3 of a second now.
Looking maybe a major slip up from Gavin Rogers with the laps ticking away. Gonna be 6 laps to go now as they cross the line. Gavin Rogers at a second gap lead over Adam Buzzio. Buzzio clocked it down a half a second. Now less than 3/10 for a quick moment is Steven Borbell. Borbell trying to grab his first win this season. They've seen a lot of other drivers up front have success. Steven Borbell is one of 2 drivers that have finished inside of the top 10 every race that they've ran. And for Borbell, he's trying to go for that win. He's finished second this season once, and it was at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Here tonight, though, 5 laps to go, but a half a second gap, it's pulling away.
Rogers with a real fast lap the last time by, but I will say, off of 2 that time, he had a pretty aggressive wiggle, as they would say, when it comes off the corner. So I don't think this is done yet. About 200s quicker than Borbell he was that last time, but he still has to make sure to not get loose and get sideways. That is going to be very, very critical when it comes down to the end. But through 1 and 2 that time was pretty much on par perfect, and was able to get a really good run off the corner as he's going to be coming around here to see 3 to go.
3 to go, and now lap traffic. It's going to be 1 driver in front of our lead group. That's going to be Richard Wolsifer, who's 1 lap down, trying to stay 1 lap down just in case the yellow flag comes out. But Gavin Rogers expected to make this pass going into turn number 3. Big wiggle by the 56, and Richard Wolsifer is going to put the nose on the 77. Slides up, sliding in front of Borbell. Borbell stays low, wrecking in front of the field. We're going to overtime.
Wow, I did not expect to see that, and I don't think Rogers expected that too much there. As I think Wolsifer was just, like you said, trying to stay from going 2 down. If a caution did happen, to try to have some type of shot to get back on the lead lap.
And just in an instant goes from trying to stay on the lead lap on 20 lap older tires than our leader to now out of the race. Richard Wolsifer has already used his fast repair and most likely will be done for tonight's race. You hate to see that for the 56, who was running well in the start of this first stage. It just fell apart after that, and now has officially called it a night, which is going to be giving Gerald Hughes a chance to gain another position, who had, again, disconnected and then got back in and is currently 6 laps down. And with us going to overtime, that's a couple more laps to be grabbed away for the 98 machine. And with the timing of that yellow, I believe that also could help Carl Pooler get back onto at least 1 of the 2 laps back on this restart. You see the 71 driving around. I'm going to be just 1 lap down as we're heading into overtime, where we have 3 attempts if needed. And Zach, it's critical time. Do you pit this time going in, or do you stay out?
It's so risky because the field is only 9 cars on the lead lap, Sam. I'm almost thinking you have to come down, man, because I mean, looking at the tire wear there, I mean, they were still running 70s and 60s there, so it wasn't a crazy amount of fall, but you can have the ability to run down in the low 2s and 1s early. If anything, if you're farther back than 5th or 4th, you got to come down.
You got to do the opposite of whatever the leader does. And a lot of people staying out. You have a set for some of these drivers. Why not take it? And it is a shocker. Now, some drivers did already come into pit road. That is going to be 7th place runner. That's going to be Evan Patinko, who's going to be, in the 96 machine, as well as Gerald Clapper. Newell going to be the other driver, and going to be the 33 of Brandon Maddox. They did take tires. They're going to have an advantage here on this restart. But the last time that we had this major of a difference on tires, it was the start right before the end of the stage, where we saw some massive wheel spin. Zach, we could see another thing here for this first attempt at overtime.
We really could, especially with a lot of people on those old tires this time. So this is going to get wild. And I tell you what, if you're Rogers, Borbell was getting close there a few times. This could get a little tricky here if Borbell can get a good enough restart. But if you're Rogers, you're just hoping someone can build a wall big enough to where the tires can't get up to you.
Oh, it is certainly, they're hoping for that wall. But thank you so much to everyone that's joining with us. Thank you for hopping on board and watching the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, your new home for the BRB Cup Series, as we will be taking you to the end of the regular season and into the playoffs. as next week will be the last race of the regular season at Homestead before they have a 5-race chase to figure out who will become the Season 1 champion of the BRB Butt Kicker Series. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to keep yourself up to date on our BRB racing action and all the other leagues that we cover throughout the week. This is our one of 4 days that we cover throughout the week, so remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying the show, remember to hit that like button as well. As we are in overtime, this is our first attempt at overtime. It's pretty simple. When we go green, it's 2 laps, a green, white, checkered. If we, on that first lap, get a caution flag, we go into attempt number 2. If we get to the white flag, the gloves are off. It's all about who crosses the line to win the race. Any wreck on the white flag will not bring out a yellow flag. So the field knows this first lap is so crucial to stay clean. But if we see a wreck, we're probably gonna see it on this restart. Top 6 drivers on old rubber, and here we go into the restart zone. They keep it clean, they keep together. We're back to racing action for our first attempt at overtime for the race of the Rock 175. Here we go, Zach, down into turn number 1.
Orbell with a decent start there is able to pull alongside, but it's going to be Buzzio actually on the outside who's got the launch, and he's going to pull alongside down the back straightaway as it's Gavin Rogers driving away.
Driving away, Evan Patinko going to be the first driver with fresh rubber, but he's back in 5th place, under a second back, too far back. White flag is in the air. This is going to be your freaky fast white flag for Gavin Rogers up front. Patinko's got a lot of work if he wants to even have a chance. He's too far back. There's a wall, and the 77 has got just enough space to work with. Gavin Rogers continues his dominance, hits his marks, exits out of turn number 4. Overtime was needed, but the 77 keeps the pace as they wreck coming across the line. Gavin Rogers wins the race at the Rock 175.
Wow, what a job by Rogers there, and what a crazy battle from there on back as Rogers trying to drift it. He's going to get a little kiss of the wall, but nothing too bad for that car.
No, just enjoying his fun as he crosses the line. His 7th win of the season for Gavin Rogers, and going to be grabbing as well, I believe his 10th pole position to start the season off. Excuse me, his 9th pole of the season as he gets to have some fun. Gavin Rogers was always known to be the favorite to watch out for. Needed some help from other drivers if they had a chance to beat this 77 machine. It didn't line up. And instead, the 77 gets to burn it down. Congratulations to Gavin Rogers, and as well for the rest of the Next Level Motorsports team, as they will finish 1, 2, 3. For us up in the booth, we're going to step away. When we come back, we'll talk to those top 3 and Spotlight Driver after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the post-race show of the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series, their Season 1, race number 12, the penultimate race before the regular season is done, is finished here at the race at the Rock 175 at Rockingham. It was a fun one overall, but the driver that everyone had circled up as the favorite finds himself into victory lane as we bring up the 77 of Gavin Rogers. Gavin, it's Sam and Zach once again. You win stage 1, stage 2, you win take the pole, fastest during practice, and then you win the race. The only thing you missed was stage 1. How are you feeling after your dominance here tonight?
Oh man, I'm feeling great, Sam. Wish I could have gone that Grand Slam. Still haven't got it with you guys. I think I've got it with a couple other leagues, but still trying to capture that with the Freaky Fast broadcasting. But they got the team top 3 tonight. It was awesome. We were so pumped, and just proud of the effort by the whole team tonight.
Definitely a great team effort for sure, Gavin, man. But take us through the battle there. Before we got that final caution, you gave up the lead there. Was that mostly down to tire saving, or was that, kind of put us in your position there?
Yeah, we were really trying to save a lot there. I think it was about an 80 lap run, or I don't know if that was after that caution brought it down to like a 60 lap run or so. Either one, we were really trying to take it easy because we knew how loose it gets, and we haven't really had a super long run yet. We were just trying to prepare for that, and we were really, really saving our tires there. Luckily, none of the other guys were going to try to push it too hard on the short run, so we were able to maintain that position. I know Dustin was a little pushy. He was a little bit faster on the short runs for sure. He was still able to hold on to it though. I think he got a top 5 even though he wrecked, so props to that. But yeah, we were really saving. Once it got to that last run, we were really debating on if we wanted to pit or not. And I know Adam didn't have any tires. Me and Steven both did, thanks to his call in the first stage on not taking tires after that first caution. But yeah, just proud we could maintain that position, that none of the other guys with tires could caught us.
I mean, Gavin, we've seen you in other leagues be so dominant before. What is the confidence level with grabbing now your 7th win, your 9th pole of the season? We're now heading into Homestead next week, the last race of the regular season and our last mile-and-a-half race of the season. What's that confidence level right before the playoffs?
Oh man, we're pumped. I know I haven't done many laps at Homestead. I don't think I've really actually done a race in Next Gens at least, but I think we really have the overall speed and momentum that we need to go into there. I think I have a good points cushion even if I struggle to capture that regular season championship and get some good points for the chase that's coming up. I just gotta hope everything goes well. Try not to create any enemies and just do what we do.
Again, congratulations on the win. But before we let you go, Gavin, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Absolutely. Want to first of all shout you guys out for taking over the broadcast for us since the last one fortunately wasn't able to continue. So just thank you so much for doing it for us. Also want to shout out all of our sponsors, Sundance Pizza, Idealis, Trivista, and Butt Kicker. Everyone watching at home, all my family, my 2 brothers, Gage and Hudson. I know Gage loves it when I shout them out, so I want to get that in there. And yeah.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight for the race at the Rock 175. Gavin Rogers in the 77 gets another win on his championship belt. Will the championship, though, be there as he continues on towards the playoffs? Congratulations, Gavin, on the win, and good luck at Homestead next week.
Appreciate it, Sam.
Well, for Victory Lane, we go down to 2nd place. We get to talk to a driver that probably had the biggest up and down night compared to everyone else. Missed the start of the grid, had to go immediately 2 laps down because accidentally getting into a wreck, having to use the fast spare immediately, but comes away 2nd. We got Adam Buzzio with us. Adam, how did you do it, and how are you feeling coming away with 2nd?
Hello, boys. Man, what a up and down night, man. Just to clarify, so I'm in Northeast Ohio. Evan Patinko and I both are, and we had a really bad round of storms rolled through here right as the race started, and I lost power completely. And I was fortunate that it came back on quickly. And I got in this session just in time not go a lap down. And as I was coming out of that corner, my whole computer monitor went black. So I just drove it down into the inside, and it came back on. But by the time it did, I needed to take the fast repair. So, but yeah, man, it was dramatic. That's for sure. But I feel great.
Definitely a great run, Adam, and it's good to see you back, man, and good to be back here. So good to hear your voice. But man, what an excellent rebound, like you said there for yourself. It seemed very loose off of 2, and we've seen a lot of guys struggle with that. Take us through what the car kind of felt like out of 2.
Yeah, it was definitely loose, man. It took me quite a bit of practice. I've only ran one race here in the past. It was an Xfinity race, but it took me a lot of laps to get used to kind of how to drive the car here. It doesn't drive the way you would think it drives. It kind of drives like a mix of Darlington and Dover is the best way I can put it. Um, I was pretty good at saving tires, so I didn't struggle too much coming out of 2. But you had to be patient on the throttle. That was the biggest thing here that I picked up on is you really had to let the car roll through the center because if you got on the gas too early, it really not only wore the tires out but broke the car loose. And I know a couple guys struggled with that tonight, but car felt good, man. I liked how I had a long run car for sure, so glad we got a couple tonight.
Well, Adam, again, it's good to be seeing a lot of familiar faces for us being back broadcasting with you and a lot of the drivers that run in this league. But man, how are you feeling with the playoffs so close going into, next week? Gonna be Homestead last regular season race and then the playoffs 5-race chase. What's your confidence level heading into these next couple of weeks?
I'm excited for the chase, man. This is something a little bit different. Obviously, we're not doing the current NASCAR format in the playoffs. We're doing kind of a mix of the Winston Cup points and the chase. So I'm excited to kind of see how it pans out. The drivers seem excited about it too. I feel confident, to be honest. The next couple tracks are good tracks for me. Gavin's just so hard to beat, man. Obviously, that's always in the back of your mind. But Steven and I both had something for him tonight. We just got to find that little bit extra. But yeah, I'm excited. Looking forward to the playoffs. And as a side note, super great to hear your guys' voice. We're obviously super happy to have you guys on board. Sorry it was a little late tonight. I know a couple people had weather-related disconnect issues, but I think we put on a pretty good race.
It was a blast. Middle of the field gave us some heart attacks at moments, but it was a blast to watch you climb through the field and finish in second place. Congratulations on that, Adam. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, thank you guys. I want to thank you guys, first of all, again, for putting on a great broadcast for us. You guys have an excellent product, and we're very fortunate and happy to have you here. I want to thank Butt Kicker, Sundance Pizza, Trivista, and Ideal East for supporting the league via sponsorships and their support outside of the iRacing area. I want to thank my wife, Julie, thank my teammates, Steven and Gavin. Congrats, Gavin, on a good win. Thank everybody for coming out tonight. It was fun.
Well, that will be your second place finisher here tonight, the 5 machine of Adam Buzzio. Congratulations, Adam, on a top 3 finish. The way your race started, congratulations on this run. Probably driver of the day. But good luck next week as well as we head to Homestead.
Thank you, guys. Heck of a night.
It certainly was. As we move from second place, we go down to third to the 2 machine of Stephen Borbell, who was one of the top drivers all night long. Put a little bit of fight into Gavin Rogers there in the beginning portions of this race, but we bring ourselves up to third position. Stephen, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations on third. How are you feeling about your performance here tonight?
Thank you, guys. And hey, Sam and Zach, long time no talk. Glad to have y'all here. But overall, as a night, I love this track so much. I knew coming into the week it was going to be a lot of fun, a lot of slick, a lot of action. It was tough to fully commit to the pass. But I think Gavin, myself, and Adam, we all had very similar speed the whole night. And it really it showed that at the end, finishing 1, 2, 3. It's awesome to get a team 1, 2, 3. And I really wish that last caution didn't come out because I think I might have had something for Gavin in those closing laps.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to go with it, Steven, is, those closing laps, you were closing the gap down. How tough was it getting, though, as you got closer?
Honestly, it got easier as I got closer. I had saved enough earlier in that run to really get a chance at it. I had learned a little bit saving throughout the race. I'd burned it up a little bit too much too early. And I just took that and basically played off of it. And the closer I got, the more hopeful I got. And then I saw Gavin getting close to Richard, who it was when he was lapping him, and he got a lot closer, but then Richard unfortunately spun out. It's just how racing goes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Steven, running with your teammates, how difficult is it to, try to, run well, go for the win for yourself, but not completely wipe out your teammates? Or is there even the thought of, I might have to use my teammate up to get the victory?
Man, I always put my teammates first. before myself trying to get a win. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'm never going to put my teammate in a bad spot if it benefits me. And maybe that's my own short doing. Maybe I'm being too nice of a guy there. And that's why I can't end up beating them in the end. But no, at the end of the day, I want us all to have a good finish. And if I get into a situation where it puts them in a tough situation, I just don't want to see that happen to them when I know they have the speed.
Well, Steven, we're about to give you the floor for shout outs, but I first want to say thank you so much for yourself, as well for Richard Wolsifer and Carl Pooler for the Holler podcast, because that helped me a ton to get prepared for being in the booth. But any other shout outs, the floor is now yours.
Well, first of all, shout out to y'all, Sam and Zach and Robert as well, for coming back on board with us. I know y'all haven't been with BRB Racing, but just in previous encounters, we love having you guys, and very excited to see where this can go. Also want to shout out my fiance, Addison, of course, my family, my friends, everyone who supports me, Sundance Pizza, and my teammates, and the Holler podcast as well. So thank y'all.
Well, that will be your third place finisher in the 2 machine of Stephen Borbell. Congratulations on third, and good luck next week at Homestead.
Thank you all very much.
Well, as we move from third, we go down to our spotlight driver, going to be 7th place finisher as we move over to the 21 machine of David Hall, who's going to come away with a 7th place finish and will become our biggest mover of the day, up 8 spots. David, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on 7th place and getting a top 10 finish for yourself. How are you feeling after your performance here tonight?
Feel pretty great considering the fact, I wasn't very confident to qualify, so I decided not to qualify. And, I was honestly just going to ride around all night. But, once the race, I tell people once I get in a race, I feel more confident because I can race around other cars, see what they're doing. So, other than that, I felt pretty good. Felt confident. I tried to go to victory lane a couple times prematurely coming out of 4. So, that I had that going for me. But overall, it was a great race for us in the 21 car. Just glad I could finish and not have too much damage or cause a lot of cautions.
Well, you definitely had a good night out there, David. Definitely being the biggest mover, man. So congrats first off on that. But, we've seen a lot of people struggle out of 2 here tonight and have issues coming out of there. Where was the biggest struggle for you tonight? What did you find the hardest part about Rockingham?
I'm gonna say coming out of 2 and 4. Like I said, coming out of 4, I tried to go to victory lane a couple times or tried to mow down the grass. I could never get my car to. I could enter in the bottom, but I could never hold it to exit on the bottom of the corners, or else it would unload on me. So I had to pretty much run on the high side and kind of exit in the middle of the corners just so I could get a straight shot down the straightaway so the back tires wouldn't unload on me so I wouldn't spin out or ultimately take out other people in the race.
I mean, David, looking at the points, I know you're a little bit too far back to try to make the playoffs, but what are you hoping for on your goals for the rest of the season here with just 6 races left?
So, yeah, I joined this league kind of late, so I mean, that's on me. I guess the goal is just to get better in the next gen cars. I don't race the next gen cars that often. I run trucks a majority of the time. So just trying to learn this next gen car is my biggest goal. I'm appreciative of Adam and all the guys in here. They're all willing to help, lend a hand to, try to help us all, get better, run better lines, to make it more competitive for the league as itself and as the broadcast. So we put on a great quality show for the fans out there. And I'm just, like I said, just mainly trying to get more of a better handle on this next gen car because, they're a beast to handle.
They certainly are a beast. And David, congratulations again on a fabulous run. Your best finish so far this season in 7th and becoming the biggest mover of the race. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours if you have any shout outs.
I like to thank my wife who gets mad and says it's a game that I'm playing. But no, I enjoy this. I made a lot of friendships over this. So I like to thank my wife for allowing me to spend a couple hours a night on this thing. Got to thank my son, Chase. He's big into racing because we race here in North Carolina where we're at. So, just thank my family. Thank Dustin Stallings, my teammate. for getting me in this league. And thank you guys for being here to broadcast this great league. And I got to thank Adam for putting on a great league with great guys, great racers from, all these different skill sets and talents. It's great to be in a league that we can all grow and, bend to everybody's ear and just get better. So just thankful to be here.
Well, thank you for giving us a great show to cover here tonight, David. It was fun watching your battles throughout the evening. Congratulations on 7th, your best finish of the season so far. We hope to see you maybe grab your first top 5 here shortly. Congratulations on your finish and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys. See y'all next week.
As next week going to be at Homestead, should be a good one, as that's going to be your 4 drivers getting to talk to our top 3 and your biggest mover of David Hull in the 21 coming away in 7th place. As we take a look at our unofficial results, drivers that need some big days didn't get them fully, but winner goes to Gavin Rogers, who's been the most winnish driver this season, and no surprise, he continues on that trend. But seeing the teammates 1, 2, 3, they got to be loving that type of a run for themselves with Gavin Rogers in first. Second goes to Adam Buzzio. Steve Morrell comes away in 3rd. And 4th place puts Evan Patenko, going to be in that 96 machine. Dustin Stalling going to be in 5th. 6th goes to Jeremy Clapper-Newell. Then in 7th, it's David Hall, your biggest mover, with Matthew Erickson in 8th. 9th goes to Brandon Maddox. And finishing out our top 10, Carl Pooler in 71, who had a very rough final 60 laps there.
Tough ending for Carl Pooler for sure, but a few of these guys who are at the end of the back of this field, such as Hernandez, who was out early with that contact off the 2 between him and Richard Wolsifer, who also pushes back Wolsifer back to that 12th position, along with Rusty Sanchez, who had that contact on that restart. So tough breaks here for Rockingham for a few of these guys as the final race of the regular season comes up next week. Sam, these guys are going to have to get it in order if they want to be able to be playoff ready.
Final mile-and-a-half race of the season is next week, as the rest of the playoffs are going to be very unique races tracks that they're going to have to handle, but that will conclude our Tuesday night. If you missed last week, it was a great Watkins-Glen race for the ISRC Lyrics Productions Truck Series. Your new home on Tuesday, it's the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series, but the next 2 races, they're going to be fun ones you do not want to miss. Tomorrow night, it's the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, the Gen 4 cars, last race of the regular season, taking the Gen 4 cars to the current Atlanta course, the Atlanta Super Speedway configuration. It's going to be a wild one, and if you're not tired of Atlanta, you don't want to miss it. Thursday, open setups for the next gens. That's where the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series heading. And Zach, I know for you, we talked about it before we went live. You're trying to test it out for tomorrow night. There's a giant unknown of what we're getting into for tomorrow night for the WSSR.
It is going to be wild. So if you're out there and you ain't got nothing to do, make sure you tune in for it, because there's going to be a lot of fall off, a lot of side-by-side action. The draft is going to be a factor. Tires might even blow out. I mean, the amount of fuel mileage that can come into it, there's a lot of possibilities. So I'm telling you guys, you definitely want to be there and be involved, because it's going to be a wild night of racing and very close to points too.
Going to be extremely close. Who's in, who's out? You don't want to miss. It's going to be fun racing action if you can't wait until next week for Homestead here for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. But again, if you haven't already, we are now the new home for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series on your Tuesday night. So if you haven't already, want to be updated when we go live, remember to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button to be notified when we are live here at PFAS Broadcasting. And if you enjoyed the show, hit the like button as well. It helps us know that you're enjoying our broadcast as well. It helps us find more viewers, and the more viewers we have watching our broadcasts, it helps out the drivers and the leagues to find sponsors to help elevate the leagues themselves. But for us here tonight, thank you so much for joining with us. Zach, any final thoughts before we call it an evening?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for letting me come out here tonight and join you guys on Tuesday night, as Trevor should be back here full time with you guys, and it'll be a fun season here for sure, and definitely fun to see how their playoffs and everything's going to turn out with how the style of how they're doing it. And then also can't wait to see how the next few nights of racing goes, as Atlanta Super Speedway is filling up our schedule. So make sure you come watch that wildness, as you've seen how it played out in real life NASCAR. That place is definitely one to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, past WSSR finishes at Atlanta, it's been 4 wide there, and that real life NASCAR only had 3 wide. You don't know what you're going to see on the virtual side of things. You don't want to miss some of the best finishes here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As the 77, he got the win here at the race at the Rock. Gavin Rogers continues on his winning way, grabbing his 7th win for the 77. He's going to be enjoying it as the drivers head to Homestead next week to see who's in the playoffs and who's out. Don't want to miss it. It's going to be close racing action with where Patrick Hernandez finished tonight and not getting bonus points. So you do not want to miss next week's race. But if you can't get your racing fill before then, we got you covered. Tomorrow night, WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series heads to Atlanta from the Gen 4s for our next Freaky Fast broadcast. But for myself, Sam Dyer, and for Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr. and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. We'll see you tomorrow night at Atlanta for our next race.